I just got done watching All Quiet on the Western Front. Now, you've probably heard of that before because this movie has already been made multiple times off the book adaptation, but this is a brand new adaptation of it. It's not just a remake of those other ones. This is really much truthfully from the book. And with that said, this movie is fantastic. It is heading to theaters this week to some local theaters, so I can't recommend enough. Check out and see if the showtimes are in your valley or your location, because this is a movie I wish I could have seen in theaters. I got a chance to watch it at a screening at home, and thank you to Netflix for sending it on over. It'll be streaming later this month on Netflix, and I do, again, recommend, if you can't see it in theaters, I do recommend watching this movie, because the more and more I sit and watch and think about All Quiet on the Western Front, the more I start to like it. There was a lot of hype behind this movie. Every word of praise that I had heard from people was like 4.5 out of 5, 5 out of 5. And after watching it, I pretty much agree with those reactions. This movie about a young German soldier whose terrifying experiences and distress on the Western Front during World War I. It's directed and written by Edward Berger, and when it comes out of the cast, I've never seen any of these people. This is an international German film, which is of course going to be the one that Germany is actually pushing for the Oscars, and I would not be surprised if that's the front runner right now. Before we get into this review any further, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you are new here and you love talking movies, because this is certainly the best place for that. I love talking movies, and if you're here, you're probably doing the right thing, as well as make sure to comment down below your guys' thoughts, because I cannot wait to see your guys' thoughts on this movie. Do you like the original movies? Do you not? Do you prefer this one? Let's talk about it all down there. Starting out with my pros, because that's what I love talking about when I talk about movies, is the performances. Almost every single person in here is an absolute all-star, and I truly mean that. I can talk about Daniel Bruhl, I can talk about Sebastian Hielk, I can talk about Eden Hosenvik, and I can talk about Anton von Luck. And again, the cast and cast goes on and on from there, and I apologize. I always say this. If I said your name wrong, I do apologize. I'm really bad at that at times. But the whole concept, and really much taking the frame mind of a young German soldier and taking his optimism and what the German army was like, yes, you got this, you're going to do this. And you see the build up to there. You see him going through, them hyping them up, and then him getting his uniform, and the uniform having someone else's name on it. And him being like, oh, I think this is the wrong one. And he goes, oh, no, that person doesn't fit. And you see elements like that, the build-up. And that's the thing I think so brilliant about this, is because the entire point of All Quiet on the Western Front is it's a cycle. It's a cycle of violence. It's a cycle of circling in people through this god-awful war. And excuse my French, but I do genuinely mean that, because the opening of this is brutal and earth-shattering. And then it takes you to where does that uniform go that we saw? Well, we see someone tailoring it. And then we see this German soldier that we follow for a majority of this runtime get it. And we know, like, the audience knows that this is not going to go well. They're super optimistic. They're all happy. But then the second they get on the trench warfare, they see people dying. They see sniper shots. They see, like, these people, like, this is life or death. And that's when I was fully invested. Everything on the battlefield was absolutely recreated to be such a scary, horrifying adventure that I have not seen something like this, like when it comes down to war movies, since probably Saving Private Ryan, where they literally storm Normandy. That was like still one of the scariest moments I've ever seen in a war film, but this probably takes up the cake for everything in that trench warfare. And again, the cycle of it all. And seeing where this young boy's journey goes from here, and the way that it cycles all the way around. And the ending of this movie is hands down one of my favorite endings to any film in 2022 so far. It is fantastic, to say the least. I genuinely loved that stuff. Now, with this thing with All Quiet on the Western Front, like I mentioned, a lot of this has to go down to the director. I think Edward Berger really knew how to capture this, how to bring this to life. And again, the production design, the cinematography, it is all exquisite, and the score will be banging in your eardrums throughout this entire thing in one of the most grandiosest way possible. This is, again, a film that reminds you what war is, and I can't emphasize that enough. I guess this is where I kind of do want to dive into some of my minor gripes with this movie, and that is the back and forth to some of the stories and characters. At times it's political, and then times you're back on the warfare, and for me, it felt like a little bit too much jumping back and forth, specifically because I was so locked in with these characters that when it starts to introduce some other subplots within the political scheming of Germany, that's when I started to kind of lose myself a little bit in the movie. And honestly, that's really about it for all my issues. It's just something a little bit minor there. Quiet on the Western Front is a phenomenal dive into the trench warfare of World War I that hasn't been seen like this. While this is the third adaptation of the story, nothing can prepare you for the brutality, heart, and inside look within this war from a whole new perspective. Incredible score, incredible production design, incredible set pieces, incredible cinematography. This is truly an accomplishment in almost every way when it brings about the war and the reality and the depiction of terror that is infused within one man who starts out optimistic and eager, but slowly learns he's in a nightmare. Again, my one minor gripe is just some of the back and forth within some of the editing and story and characters, but other than that, I think this is a must-see movie. It is going to limited theaters this week, so I can't recommend enough. Check your showtimes. I'm going to try my best to actually go see it in theaters because I can't imagine the experience you'll get in theaters compared to watching it at home. But I watched it at home, and I still really enjoyed this film and loved a lot of it. With all that said, I'm going to give All Quiet on the Western Front an A-. Once again, guys, for watching this, you guys are really all the best. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts, and of course, until next time, stay classy.